Hey guys, this is Johnny Rodriguez, and you're watching the Video Game Masters. We're going to continue the Lost reviews with Real Bout Fatal Fury and Sonic 4.
Looks like someone needs help reviewing something.
Real Bout Fatal Fury came out in 1995 for the Neo Geo arcade and home console, making it the 5th game in the series. Even though the game looks like a super version of Fatal Fury 3, it actually continues the story of the lone wolves trying to stop Geese Howard, that somehow survived the first game, from getting his hands on the secret Jin Scrolls. The game has a new control scheme. You now have a button for light punches, a button for light kicks, a button that kind of sort of doubles for both the strong punches and strong kicks, and a final button that shifts your character in and out of the background and foreground. Your life bar is now twice as long, so the fights can last longer with so many hard-hitting moves and combos.
Real Bout Fatal Fury not only brings back the bosses Yamazaki, Jin Chonsu, and Jin Chonrei, but it also brings in 3 characters from the older Fatal Fury games.
For the returning characters, you get the super cool breakdancing Duck King, Geese Howard's bodyguard Billy Kane.
You mean Billy Khan, right?
Okay, Billy Khan, and the Taekwondo fighter Kim Kap-wan, all with cool new moves. The major difference in this game compared to the previous titles is that now the backgrounds have barriers on both sides. When the barriers take enough damage, they break away, and the fighters can now lose the match by falling out of bounds. The fighters have cool animations when this happens, like falling into a train or getting stuck in an elevator, though the most notable one was for Blue Mary in the Sound Beat stage in the original arcade version. In a rare case of video game nudity, Blue Mary loses her top in the water and actually appears topless for a split second when she comes up for air and then covers up. Of course, later versions for the PlayStation 2 and whatnot would censor this out.
SNK games are known for their desperation moves, and this one does not disappoint. You have your normal super move once you have your power gauges full, and more powerful version when your life bar is flashing red. Your power bar is also full. To make things even easier, the super desperation moves usually done the same way as the regular supers are, but you only have to press one button instead of 2.
The final boss is Geese Howard in all his cheesy glory, and his stage doesn't have any breakable borders, so there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. You gotta take him down the old-fashioned way. Real Bout Fatal Fury is one of my favorite Fatal Fury games of all time. I know their sequels added more characters, and of course we do have the spectacular Mark of the Wolves, but I just keep coming back to this one. This is the one that I played the living hell out of in the arcades back in the day. I have lots of fond memories and I guess a bit of nostalgia bias, but I just love this game. All the characters of Fatal Fury 3 that were cool design-wise but were pretty weak and kind of sucked were improved 10 times more in this game. They got new moves, they're stronger, they're better to use, it's pretty cool. I love the breakaway backgrounds, that's an extra level of danger to watch out for now. This is one of the games you can actually accidentally knock yourself out if you're not careful. Like, you got these other games with ring outs, but most of the times you can't really ring yourself out unless you kind of trip or fumble, or of course when the other person like falls out, you can just fall out after them just to be funny or whatever. But in this game, if you don't watch your backdashes, you can accidentally backdash yourself out of the ring. And yes, I know it's cheesy. Some of the matches can end in 5 or 6 seconds if you accidentally like knock yourself out or whatever, but it just adds to an extra level of danger. That's pretty cool. Now, another thing about this game I like is that most of these games, of course, are all competing against Street Fighter. That's the big guy to beat. And I always felt that SNK had their very particular way of playing. Like, they're fighting games still, but they just don't play the way Street Fighter plays. Real Bout Fatal Fury, like Fatal Fury 3 started, but Real Bout Fatal Fury in particular, that's the kind of game you can just jump right in with crazy combos. It's fast pacing up. It plays kind of like how Street Fighter would have possibly played if it was SNK style. Because of course, it still has its own specific, like, you know, game mechanics, its own combo system and stuff like that. But it just plays like fast paced, it's combo crazy, great flashy graphics, bright colors, great backgrounds, awesome music and everything. It's just great. I just love this game a lot. What do you guys think?
Real Bout Fatal Fury was a lot of fun, and we played it at the arcades lots of times. The graphics were great, the game was fast-paced, and I loved breaking the barriers. It was funny seeing characters getting stuck in the trains or elevators, and honestly, I think Street Fighter 5 kind of borrowed that idea, now that I've noticed.
Well, Real Bout Fatal Fury is one of the best Fatal Fury games and probably one of the easiest pro fighting games. However, there is one little caveat, is that it just seems a little too slow-paced as comparison to most fighting games now. But if you enjoy it through the eyes of a nostalgic mind, or myself as an SNK / Fatal Fury or King of Fighters fan, you will find some enjoyment out of it. The combos are not complicated, the fighting is, as usual, just pretty basic, but it does have some interesting character designs and character study. So, with that, I think I definitely recommend. But for those of you like myself who enjoy Fatal Fury or any of the SNK cabinet, this is worth checking out if you have the time.
Oh man, Real Bout was always such a classic. Well, now let's look at Sonic 4. And hey, Jack Knights helped us review this one.
Sonic 4, you say? Well, I've also played Sonic 4, and I'd be glad to offer my services.
Yeah, sure, Jack Knives, come help us out. After all, misery loves company.
Sonic 4? I never played it, but it could be interesting.
Released in 2010, which makes this game just about old enough to be considered a classic by this show's standards, Sonic 4 Episode 1 continues after the events of Sonic & Knuckles, which was in itself an add-on to Sonic 3. Dr. Robotnik is back at it again, this time going back to the drawing board and recreating old enemies. The game follows the 2D platforming style of the Sega Genesis Sonic games, but now you have more control over what order you want to play the stages.
The game has 4 zones, which are based on some of the classic zones of Sonic 1. The Splash Hill zone is based on the Green Hill zone, and so on and so forth. It's a great way to get used to the new gameplay mechanics when compared to the classic games. The acts are full of loop-de-loops, swinging from vines, and using zip lines to advance further in the levels.
The Casino Street Zone is based on the Spring Yard Zone, full of bumpers and slot machines. You also get these cool card games that score you lots of coins and extra lives, and you're gonna need them. The platforming is a bit tougher, as now we have cars that flip over, meaning that you have to time your jumps very carefully.
The Lost Labyrinth Zone is based off the classic Labyrinth Zone, and you know what that means. The return of water and drowning. Now Act 2 is very different, because you're trapped in darkness underground, and you have a torch that only lights a little bit of your pathway. You can use this torch to light up other torches as well as dynamite to get past certain parts.
Yeah, then you get this incoming wall segment that goes on for far too long. Anyways, the Mad Gear Zone, not those Mad Gears, is based on the Scrap Brain Zone and is full of deadly machinery and giant gears and sprockets. You also get yet another annoying incoming wall segment in Act 3, which is where I decided that I played enough Sonic for one day.
When you beat Splash Hill Zone Act 1, you can choose any of the other zones. You can even play acts out of order. Once you beat all 3 acts of a single zone, you unlock an extra boss stage where you face a Dr. Robotnik. Robotnik will attack you in one of his flying devices, which are similar to the boss fights in Sonic 1. Don't get too confident though, because after a few hits, Robotnik starts doing a few new moves he never did in the original game. And yeah, I'm calling him Dr. Robotnik. Even the movie got it right.
If you end the stage with more than 50 rings, you unlock a special zone where you get past this weird maze to get a Chaos Emerald. This time, instead of controlling Sonic himself like in Sonic 1, you actually rotate the entire maze around to kind of get Sonic to go where you need him to go. Very interesting, but kind of frustrating.
Gameplay-wise, Sonic plays roughly the same as he did in the first game. You now have the Sonic Spin Dash, as well as a new homing attack based upon the 3D games. You also still get the Super Speed running shoes, the shield that lets you take more than one hit, and the invincibility powers like in the first game. However, in this one, if you can get all the Chaos Emeralds, you can turn into Super Sonic.
Once you beat all 4 zones, you unlock a final zone where you defeat Dr. Robotnik once and for all, or at least until Episode 2. There is no footage of the final zone because of these stupid, annoying incoming wall segments. I don't care what Dr. Robotnik says, the Mobians aren't paying for it. Sonic 4 wasn't that bad of a game for what they were trying to do, but it wasn't all that good either. For me, the game was just too hard. And not the fun kind of hard where it's kind of challenging, where you kind of want to, strive to do it better and whatever. No, this is just annoying hard. It's annoying. I never want to play this shit again kind of hard. And that's just my opinion, of course, for you guys. Maybe you guys could just breeze through the game without a sweat. Maybe some of you guys are like side-scroll experts or Sonic masters or whatever, but I'm not for this game. There's this part with this Casino Night Zone inspired stage with the cards. There's an area where these line of cards just flip over the moment you land on them. So you have to, like, the moment you land on them, either run or Sonic Spin Dash, like, right away. Because, like, the slightest hesitation and you're fucking dead. And I tried it so many times, so I finally passed it that I'm like, fuck it. I am never playing this stage ever again. And the same with those walls that are closing in on you and everything, that I felt that underwater one just went on way too long. There were parts that I got past, I'm like, okay, I should be good now. What the fuck? The wall's still going, it's still closing in. And it's like, if I ever pass this part in the future, I am never playing these parts ever again. They're fucking annoying. Now, for things I did like seeing Sonic go back to his 2D route, and I did enjoy seeing Robotnik using the older attacks from the older games, but then he surprises you with like new versions of attacks after a couple of hits. That was kind of cool, kind of gets the nostalgia. So the game does get a couple of points for nostalgia, but I don't know, it just could have been so much better.
Sonic 4 is a fun little throwback to the original Sonic series that kind of strayed after they did Sonic Adventures and all the spin-off titles. But I do like that Sonic 4 kind of stuck to its roots, but I don't know if the landing was quite as good as it should have been. I don't think it should have been called Sonic 4. In my opinion, the better successor is Sonic Generations. But again, I do think that Sonic 4 has some merits. As the games progress, it gets more and more adaptive and more fun, and different little creative styles that they changed and kind of kept retro at the same time. I do love that aspect, but seeing Sonic in a 2D style with 3D was very jarring when it first came out, but now it's kind of commonplace. But it is a fun little game to check out if you are a Sonic fan. And honestly, anything's better than Sonic Forces.
And that wraps up this episode. This is Johnny Rodriguez. Thanks for watching. See you next time.